I'm going to cut it a bit fine, but please allow me to finish. E ngā mana e ngā reo e ngā karangatanga maha tēnā koutou. My name is Rawiri Doorbar. I'm of Otarawa, of Waitangi, and here to oppose the principles of the Te Riti o Waitangi Bill on behalf of our hapu and whānau. The Te Riti o Waitangi is a foundational agreement affirming the sovereignty, rangatiratanga and self-determination of our hapu and whānau. The Henry Williams copy was signed by our rangatira in 1840 in good faith, ensuring our tino rangatiratanga over our lands, taonga and our way of life. The whakaputanga o te rangatiratanga o Nutere, the 1835 Declaration of Independence remains legally recognised. Oh, shit. The Crown has both feudal and fiduciary obligations to uphold Māori self-determination and act in good faith. A quick historical context: systematic breaches of Te Riti, the colonial government, in direct contradiction to the guarantees within Te Riti, initiated military invasions, roadblock to confiscation legislation designed to dispossess us of our whenua and resources. The Waitara invasion of 1860 exemplifies the betrayal of the Te Riti, where military force was used to alienate us from our whenua. Successive settler governments have used legislative trickery, Native Land Acts, New Zealand Constitution Acts, Resource Management Acts to systematically dispossess our people. Māori self-governance was originally protected under the 1846 and 1852 New Zealand Constitution Acts. The removal of these legal protections by the New Zealand Parliament constituted an act of treason under British law. Despite numerous commissions and reports recognising these injustices, successive governments have failed to fully restore the rights and lands wrongfully taken. There's never been any justice provided to us. The Treaty Principles Bill is a direct assault on the Te Riti o Waitangi. The principles of the Te Riti o Waitangi Bill represent an explicit and intentional direct assault on us. It distorts the principles of the Te Riti o Waitangi to fit a colonial framework that erodes our rights as Te Riti partners and consolidates state control. The bill is a calculated manoeuvre to strip tangata whenua of our rightful tino rangatiratanga and to redefine the Crown's obligations in a way that serves only settler government interests. A colonial government has no right to arbitrarily interfere with the confident of the Te Riti o Waitangi. The Crown's representative has no mandate to alter, redefine or undermine this relationship to suit the political interests of the settler government or its incorporations. The continued interference, legislative overreach and resource theft must end. This government must stop manipulating our Te Riti relationship and cease the ongoing marginalisation of our people and the rape of our lands, waters and our taonga. We see this bill as a deliberate strategy to provoke crisis. The introduction of this bill strongly suggests that the Crown is not simply redefining its obligations, but is deliberately escalating tensions to justify the suppression of our rights. If history has shown us anything, it is that colonial governments do not give up power willingly. We are being pushed into a corner so that the full force of the state can be used against us. If we resist, we will be criminalised and labelled as extremist, just as our tupuna were. If we comply, we allow the continued erosion of our rights and tino rangatiratanga. If we disengage, the settler government will claim Te Riti o Waitangi as irrelevant and move to dissolve it altogether. This is not simply semantics, nor is it about justice or fairness. This is about the government manufacturing consent for further state action against our people to secure the exploitation. As Governor Gore Brown declared in 1859 in his greed for our lands and resources, lecti si possent si non quocunque modo. If it can be done honestly, do so. If not, do it by any means necessary. Racist battle fatigue and intergenerational harm. The racist battle fatigue from our perspective is not just an individual experience, but an intergenerational burden carried by our people as we continuously resist the structures of colonisation that seek to dispossess us. It is the exhaustion that comes from having to constantly justify our existence under our rights under the Te Riti o Waitangi, our tino rangatiratanga, in the face of a government that has, for generations, weaponised dysfunction as a tool of control. One of the most insidious tools of the strategy is economic dependence. The government ensures our people's reliance on state unemployment benefits, solo parenting support as a means of social and economic control. By keeping our whānau trapped in a cycle of poverty, the state prevents the development of intergenerational wealth, limits self-sufficiency and keeps our people preoccupied with survival instead of resistance. This strategy diverts attention away from the Crown's systematic theft of land and resources while reinforcing the false narrative that our Māori people require state intervention to function. This deliberate suppression erodes the waitu of individuals, fragments whānau and forces our people into colonial systems that are designed to fail us. Over time, this fatigue manifests in intergenerational trauma, where the battles fought by our tupuna become the battles of our tamariki mokopuna, perpetuating a cycle that the colonial state relies upon to maintain its hold over our whenua and futures. Racist government fatigue, a systemic assault every day. We endure the consequences of colonial rule, injustice, education, health, housing, environmental management, social services, and economic opportunity. The justice system criminalises Māori disproportionately, ensuring high incarceration rates and ongoing state control over our people. The education system continues to erase our history, suppress our languages, and fail our tamariki at every level. The health system neglects our people, with Māori suffering from the worst health outcomes due to systemic bias and underfunding. The housing sector has made home ownership unattainable for many Māori, pushing whānau into homelessness and intergenerational poverty. The environmental policies continue to prioritise corporate interests over kaitiakitanga, stripping us of our control over our whenua and our waterways. The social services sector intervenes disproportionately in whānau Māori, removing tamariki from homes under policies reminiscent of colonial child removal practices. The economic system is structured to maintain whānau dependency while profiting from the ongoing exploitation of our natural and cultural resources. These are not isolated issues, they are deliberate and coordinated components of the ongoing colonial project, a system designed to keep our people suppressed, dispossessed and politically neutralised while continuing to extract wealth from our whenua and resources. But despite this, we continue to rise, drawing strength from our whakapapa mātauranga and the unyielding commitment to restore what was taken. The challenge is not just in resisting oppression, but in reclaiming the space to thrive beyond the limits imposed upon us. In conclusion, the principles of the Te Riti o Waitangi Bill represents the ultimate betrayal of the foundational agreement between our people and the Crown. It must be abandoned. The fight for justice, for sovereignty and for the future of our mokopuna will not end here, it will grow stronger. Our tupuna stood firm and so do we. These are the words of Te Rangi Puahuaho, a rangatira of Ngāti Mutunga, when asked by a judge if he had any words prior to sentencing. His crime was ploughing his ancestral lands after Pākehā illegally confiscated them. I have done no wrong. I have no blood on my hands, only the earth of my ancestors. I have no faith in your system. Do with me as you will. He was sent to Waitangi and put to hard labour and imprisoned, as were hundreds of our people. 146 years later, nothing has changed. Our people have no faith in the system. Perhaps it is indeed time to step off. Perhaps it's time to step off this carousel of lunacy and re-establish our own judiciary. Tohu Kākahi predicted this. He kore e piri teuku ki te rino kawhitingia e te rā kangahoro ki ha. Te whiti o rongo mai predicted this. Nau te pāhua tuatahi maku, te pāhua whakamutunga. We are the experts on colonisation. We see it every day. We've experienced it firsthand for generations. This bill is nothing more than a racist political move to manufacture consent for further state action against our people. I haven't even mentioned UNDRIP. Here we reject this bulletin in its entirety. Ngā mihi, kati.
Good, thank you for that, Rawiri. We do have time for a question, and I see Steve Abel has a question.
Kia ora, Rawiri, accept your submission. It's totality. It's very powerful. Thank you. I particularly appreciated your line in point 4 where you said the focus on vague principles ignores the fact that a genuine partnership requires real justice and acknowledging and actively addressing these historical wrongs, not simply defining abstract principles devoid of practical application or redress for the ongoing impact of these injustices. Can you speak to the broader implications of us failing to treat te tiriti as a living relationship?
The ongoing
failure to treat te tiriti as a living relationship.
Yeah, well, it'll be the ongoing death of our people in the health system, the ongoing homelessness of our people, the ongoing poverty of our people, the cycle that maintains us in a space where we're unable to stand up without permission, without resources, because all of our resources have been removed from us. It'll just continue. It's the only job of a colonial government is to maintain tangata whenua in a perpetual state of dysfunction, so that they can continue with their agenda of selling our resources and of making money off our backs. Aroha mai.
Kia ora, Rawiri. Thank you for your submission. We're out of time, so we'll leave it there.
Kia ora, Rawiri.
I feel like, so I've updated the notes internally to Rawiri, but boy, it felt like the land speed record on speech reading was there, trying to be achieved on that speech, and definitely a bit different to a name. What do you think it will be to something very different to what I was expecting, but I like it.
Yeah, look, Rawiri had a powerful message to say. I really, really liked how he touched on self-determination and being legally recognised in good faith, because I think that's actually a big part of what's missing from this conversation, although many have tapped into it. When you have an agreement, in basic principle, when you have an agreement between two parties, it's, you would expect that any changes to that agreement would involve both those two parties. And what's a clear theme that's coming through is a direct assault on te tiriti and not including all its partners before bringing this to a select committee. There's powerful points to be made into that. We've had several people already talk about mokopuna and future, not just thinking about today, but thinking about the generations to come and who this will impact, as well as drawing on the mistakes that have made in the past. He mentioned about deliberate escalation of tensions, and that's a fair point to make, because how is this in good faith serving both parties, who are part of the agreement? I really enjoyed what he had to say. I also think that, in addition to the honouring te tiriti as our foundation document, the government has a role and responsibility to protect human rights of its people, required from international law and treaties that Aotearoa has signed into, and these do include rights to access to food, shelter, water, education, and adequate healthcare. Clearly there's deficits within our communities who don't reap the rewards that some others do.
Yeah, and I mean, there's many comments that be going to just put it out to a referendum and have it over and dealt with. But by the sounds of it, we're not even ready to even get to the point that we can even sit there and have a mature conversation if that is the solution to the problem. As you may have heard many comments, and that's shown up in our comments as well on our videos, is just put it to a referendum and let the public decide. But that's not it's not exactly the best option when you're playing around with someone's rights.
Yeah, well, I mean, by allowing this proposed bill to proceed as far as select committee, basically through seemingly siloed decision making, there is a consistent belief that the government has already breached its obligations under te tiriti or Waitangi, in addition to international human rights laws, and it does potentially deepen and harm social cohesion in Aotearoa. The consultation and collaboration are things that add to successes. Doing things silo and to the detriment of our shared agreements is not solutions moving forward.
No, exactly. That's right. Okay.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok.